Now you're up on the stream. So, let's see. We can give you an intro. Phil, if you're not already familiar with Phil, Philip is a member of the Bug Crowd Ambassador team. He's been a really great advocate for Bug Crowd, but also for the InfoSec and hacker community. He's done a lot to give back to his local community where he lives. And we are really excited to have him here today to talk about penetration testing and then hopefully give people some good tips and tricks and techniques and words of wisdom on how to get into the penetration testing space so that you can do it on the side or even something like the bug crowd NGPT testing, which is basically a penetration test that we work with our crowd with. So yeah, Philip, thank you so much for joining us today, and I'm excited for your talk. Take it away.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks for the introduction. This is an honor. This has been a goal of mine since Level Up One to eventually be able to present here, and I've learned a lot of good information along the way. This is how I found out about the ambassador program last year through Level Up Two, and so this has been one of my goals. So it's awesome to be doing this today, and thanks for the opportunity. So to get started, Sam kind of gave you a little overview of, but a little more detail on my background. I'm a pen tester is my day job. I'm an adjunct instructor at Richland College. I teach ethical hacking, web application pen testing. This past January made a year that I've been teaching, and for a long time I've kind of mentored people and helped people that were interested in becoming pen testers or other areas of security. So sharing with people and teaching was something that was a passion of mine, and teaching was just a further way to enhance that, to do it on a broader scale. And then becoming an ambassador, this played into this meetup that I started here locally in the Dallas area called the Pwn School Project. It's a monthly meetup that's educational, teaching on penetration testing techniques and ethical hacking. And there's a lot of other, we're lucky in here in Dallas to have like Dallas Hackers Association and a local DEF CON group that we have so much here locally that we're lucky. But one of the things the other groups were doing, they do presentations on certain techniques, but it didn't really go into detail. So people that were new, they'd have to go home and do a lot of studying to try to figure out what was being said. So I saw the need for my students completing my class to continue on in their education, and then people locally that just maybe couldn't afford the training as a way to offer training to them. So that's how the Pwn School Project was started, and being an ambassador just played into that, because being an ambassador, you give back to the community, you teach others, and one of the goals that I have is try to teach people to be researchers. So this played in to the grand scheme of things that I was doing. So this played in well. I've been in InfoSec and IT for over 21 years. 15 plus of it's been security alone. I started out as a system administrator, spent 8 years doing network security and application security. Application security is where I got interested in pen testing. So over the past 7 years, that's what I've been doing, is pen testing. I finally found the job that I really enjoy. A lot of other positions, even in security and IT, after a while, you kind of got bored and it wasn't as interesting, but pen testing has remained just as interesting as it was when I started. And kind of to give you a little more about my background, the scenic route, I guess you could say, my nonlinear path to InfoSec is, before I ever got into IT, I started out as a pro wrestler. Um, wasn't a really good lifestyle. After getting married, I needed something where I didn't travel as much, stable income. So I went to school to be a CAD draftsman. And then from being a CAD draftsman, I learned about sysadmin work, which was a lot more interesting to me. I found out through going to CAD school that I had more of a niche for technology. So that led me to being a sysadmin, then into InfoSec, and then eventually becoming a pen tester. And during my pro wrestling career, actually, one time I did wrestle a bear. So here's a couple pictures up from my old pro wrestling days. Back then, when I was getting started, I would have never known that I'd be using my brain for a living, because I was always into powerlifting and did the wrestling thing and thought whatever I would do would be just physically based. But after getting a little education, I learned that technology was a lot more fun. And so we're going to discuss today, we're going to describe pen testing, the types of pen tests, specializations, skills for other roles, needs to be a pen tester, the things you need to learn to be a pen tester, learning resources, how to get experience and certifications that are helpful in being a penetration tester. And this is one of the slides I share with my student each semester, and I want to share this message to anyone that may be new to pen testing, ethical hacking, or security research. I got this quote from one of the Spider-Man movies when Uncle Ben was telling Peter that, you know, with great power comes great responsibility. So you want to remember this. Anytime you're hacking, make sure you got permission. Without permission, it's illegal, and better off you want written permission, proof that you have the permission to do that. And either you go through some company to do pen testing, or you go through like Bug Crowd and doing bug bounties. That way you've got permission to do it. You know, you can run into some problems when you get someone that says, hey, can you test this system? It's mine. And it could be someone else's system, or someone's trying to get you to illegally breach a system. So you definitely want to be careful with this. With a felony on your record, it would make it really hard to get jobs as a pen tester or in security at all. So keep that in mind. And what is pen testing? So pen testing is assessing security from the adversarial perspective, exploiting vulnerabilities to gain access to systems and sensitive data, basically hacking. That's why more commonly you hear the term for a pen tester is ethical hacking. This is a better way to describe. Penetration testing can be kind of a confusing term. So anytime I tell people that aren't in the industry what I do for a living, I tell them I'm an ethical hacker. It makes a lot more sense to them than penetration tester. Why pen testing? Well, pen testing gives you a better understanding of the risk severity of security risks. Exploitable vulnerabilities are higher risk and higher priority for remediation and justification for budgeting. So low-level finding may not be that high risk. So this kind of, if it's exploitable, then it's a higher risk. And this is a good way to show that these items are exploitable, and it's easier to get budget to remediate items when you can prove that they can actually be exploited. Because sometimes there's some low-level or informational findings that you may not be able to exploit that are not that risky, but if you can prove that they're exploitable, that's a good way to get the budget to remediate those. And plus, just from testing this way, testing security, you're able to find things you wouldn't find with just a typical vulnerability scan. You're able to dig further past that vulnerability and see what else can be done. What other vulnerabilities lie in that system behind the firewall, the antivirus, and other endpoint protection on it. And regulatory compliance. This is a big thing that drives a lot of pen tests. At our company, a lot of our tests are based on PCI. So this is where we do most of our work for PCI. Plus, another thing about pen testing, it's a fun job with a lot of great opportunities. Used to in the past, the only job you're really seeing out there were contractors or consultants. Most companies didn't have their own internal pen testers, but that's kind of changing with the times. People are starting to add their own internal pen testers because it can be expensive in some cases to use only consultants or contractors. And a lot of companies like our company, there's numerous companies that have big penetration testing teams, and companies are adding pen test teams as time goes by. Pen testing jobs are, most commonly some of these, when you're looking for a job, you'll see some of the titles. This is penetration testers or pen testers, but more commonly you'll see something like security consultant, analyst, or engineers. You really have to dig into the job descriptions to find out if it's an actual pen testing job sometimes, because typically you'll see like analyst or engineer. Some other words synonymous with pen testing is ethical hacking, offensive security, adversarial security, and these a lot of times will fall under groups known as threat and vulnerability management. So when you're looking for a job, just kind of keep, like the threat and vulnerability management, several companies I worked for, that was the title of our pen test team. And pen testing skills that are valuable in other areas, SOC analysts. Understanding malicious traffic can help you as a SOC analyst. Digital forensics and incident response. If you're responding to an incident, if you understand the attack vectors, then you're going to be able to, it's going to make your life easier. It's going to give you an edge figuring out how these breaches occurred. Network security analysts and engineers. This is valuable to them. Purple teams, where you're doing both defensive and offensive. Application security, it's really good in that area as well. So you can do some of your testing. You may not necessarily be doing the pen test, but be able to perform some kind of assessment, security assessment of the software is good to have. And security researchers, as we know, as bug hunters, this is a good area to have pen testing skills. A lot of good bug hunters come from pen testing backgrounds. For instance, Jason Haddix, he comes from a pen testing background. So you may be a bug hunter, but it doesn't hurt to expand past the application layer to understand the network layer and some of the other areas that can be exploited. And types of pen test targets. So these are the items that you would normally test, and some of the most common ones are listed here first. Network, your internal, external, and wireless networks, application, web app, thick client, mobile, and cloud. And then your hardware hacking, network, hardware, routers, and switches, and even down to some of the more newer technologies like IoT and medical devices. With medical devices, you want to make sure that these are secure. At least the devices are secure, at least on a secure network, to prevent someone from having access to pacemakers or insulin pumps. I've done wireless pen tests for hospitals before, and it's interesting to see all the devices connected wirelessly to their Wi-Fi network. In transportation, this is where your car hacking comes in handy. All types of vehicles, buses, planes, cars, with the autonomous self-driving vehicles coming out. This is becoming a lot more serious area that they need to make sure that these cars or buses, etc., whatever vehicle, is secure. So this is a popular area. I even saw that there's a college in Texas that were proposing a vehicle pen testing course or degree, part of their security program. So this is starting to get to be more visible area that people are realizing the need for security. People, social engineering, so you're actually trying to hack the human element. Sometimes your endpoint protections, your firewalls, all this other security may prevent you from actually breaching the network, but if you can get someone to click on a file or let you in a door, then there's possibilities to hack into those ways. So that's one of the targets that pen testers or red teamers will try to hack. Buildings, your physical security, this is very important. You can have the most sophisticated security, everything can be locked down great, but if someone's able to get in the door and get physical access, all bets are off. So this is one of the areas that's good, and it's usually typically done within a social engineering engagement. Types of pen test knowledge. This is the knowledge of your target you're testing. So as a pen tester, the first one we're going to look at is black box. This means like limited to maybe IP addresses at the most, and it's more of an attacker approach. And this requires a little more time than like the white box. Your white box, also known as crystal box, is detailed system info, including accounts for apps, testing, documentation. This could be Visio diagrams, more information. A lot of pen testers think that this is